Hey everybody, you're going to love this recipe. This is a healthy fruit, quick and easy fruit choc bar. Well, you can make it any shape that you want. I've just used these little silicone ice cubes. You can use a muffin tray, you can use sort of big square ice block trays. They're quite filling, not filling, but they've got a nice, healthy, strong flavour. So you don't, and because they haven't got sugar in them or like refined sugar, they're fantastic. So they're like little lollies, healthy lollies. Gotta love that. All right, let's get cooking. Beautiful. All right, so quick and easy fruit choc drops. All right. Fabulous. So the prep time, probably for us, it'll be about 15-20 minutes. Freeze time, well, they're not frozen, but they go really nice and hard. Is you can eat them in 30 minutes and they make about 12 pieces, depending on the size of the container that you use. All right, fantastic. So our ingredients, almond butter. Got some almond butter. You can use peanut butter if you want. Almond butter is good because it thickens things up. You could use Nutella. That's another option to use as well. Sophie's face. Hang on, let me just do one more check. No, you could use Nutella instead because it does the same thing. It thickens things up. Great. We've got some cacao. Where's my cacao? On the wrong side. So I've got some cacao, or you could just use cocoa powder. So it does the same thing. You need a little bit of honey. Got my honey there. A little bit of maple syrup. And the other thing you could use is some rice malt syrup if you use that in your family as well. The reason we are not using all honey or all maple syrup is honey's got a really strong flavour and and so if we have it too honey, it can be too sweet. So different kinds of products have different flavours. You'll need some coconut oil. Got some of my big coconut oil there. You'll need vanilla extract, which is still in my cupboard. You'll need a pinch of salt. Got the salt. You'll need some raisins. If you eat raisins, you could always use some cranberries. You could also use, beautiful, you could also use some dried apricots or dried apples as well. There's loads of different kinds of fruit that you could use rather than just using the nuts. But the traditional recipe is some raisins. I've got some dried almonds. Oops, a daisy, some dried almonds. Some almonds, or you could use some pepitas, pumpkin seeds, or some, what do you call these? Cashews. I've got some hazelnuts in front there that we could have used. I'm not even opening the packet because I'm not. Or you could use some sesame seeds. So some people who are allergic to nuts can eat seeds instead. So fantastic. All right, excellent. Now, equipment, you're going to need a large bowl. Got the large bowl. You'll need some measuring cups and measuring spoons. You'll need a wooden spoon. You'll need a muffin mould. Now, you don't have to do this, but you can either, I've got my muffin mould there, or if you've got something like this, a little sort of silicone mouldable thing, and I've also got these little things that I've picked up from Aldi that must have been in my plastics cupboard for about 100 years. So that's another option as well. Great. And you'll need a spatula. Beautiful. All right, we're ready to go. Beautiful. All right, I will put that back up there. I'll just do a last minute check. No. Fantastic. All right. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get our bowl and we're going to measure out 6 tablespoons of almond butter, if that's what you're using. If you're using Nutella, you can use 6 tablespoons of Nutella. What the almond butter is for is to bind everything together. So the other week we used almond butter in our butter chicken in our Challenger class. And so, and what that does, it thickens things up. In the butter chicken recipe, for those kids that were nut free, you could use tomato paste. I don't think tomato paste would be the go in this way. Great. So just try to keep them as level as possible, as in like your spoons to be the right amount. And I better stop talking so I remember to count properly. Beautiful. And 6. All right, 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder or cacao, depending on what you're using. Same thing, it's just treated differently. Again, do nice and level measures, because if you don't, what will happen is that your mixture will be too bitter. So cocoa always goes with a sweetener, because if you taste it, even if you want to have a little taste of it, it doesn't taste very nice on its own. Oh, what am I saying? 4. All right. So 4 tablespoons of your cacao. Amazing. We ran out of honey. Oh, great. And then 2 tablespoons of honey. 2 tablespoons of honey. Oops, so easy, that fell off beautifully. Popping your lid back on if it's a lid, or turning it down once you've finished. Fantastic. Once you've done your honey, you're going to measure out 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Now, if your maple syrup is like mine and it doesn't have a proper pourer, do it nice and slowly. Now, don't measure it over the top of the bowl. Measure it at the side and just go really nice and slowly. Because you don't want to pour more in. All the bottles are all different. Fantastic. Now we're just going to jump over the coconut oil for the moment. So I want you to grab 1 teaspoon of, so don't worry about your coconut right yet. We'll do that when we get to the end. You'll need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. 1 teaspoon. I forgot mine. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Again, we never measure over the bowl. We measure at the side, nice and slowly. Beautiful. Excellent. Vanilla extract. Then you want to put a pinch of salt. Now, I always say, if you've got 1/8 teaspoon, put in 1/8 teaspoon, rather than just hoping that you've got enough. Like if you've got big fat fingers, well, your pinch is going to be very different than if you're 5 years old putting your pinch in. So I just measure 1/8 teaspoon of salt and I sprinkle it across the top so that it doesn't end up in a clump. Then we're going to measure 1/4 cup of raisins or sultanas. 1/4 cup. If you've got big fruit, you might think about breaking it up into smaller pieces. I'm just adding my fruit there. Fantastic. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure 1/2 cup of, you can either do just almonds or you can do just one kind of nut. Or if you want to, which is what I'm going to do, I've got my 1/2 cup measure and I'm going to put in some sesame seeds. I've got some cashews and I've got some pepitas. And then I'm going to finish off with some almonds. Now, you can do whatever you want. And again, if you don't like nuts, you can use fruit. So you've got more than just sultanas. And if you wanted to chop up your nuts, you could always chop up your nuts. So I've got 1/2 cup all together, and I'm going to pop that into our mixture. And I'm tapping the bottom because I've got sesame seeds and they're sticking to the silicone. Fantastic. All right, so that's looking good. I'm just going to move it to the side for a minute. We want to be able to melt 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. 4 tablespoons. So you can either do that on the stovetop or in the microwave, depending on what your family does. I'm going to do mine in the microwave. The trick is measuring it. Well, the trick is, because it's hard, my first one is very hard. If I use the wooden spoon, that kind of worked better. So you can see if your coconut oil is hard, in summer it goes the opposite way. So it doesn't go solid. It will, unless you pop it in the fridge. So that's exactly, it's a little bit like butter. And we're using it because we want it to go hard when we chill it. That's it. Fantastic. I'm just going to pop mine in the microwave. I'm going to try 20 seconds and see how 20 seconds goes. All right, I'm just going to, yeah, I think I'll put it on for just another 20 seconds because I want all of that coconut oil to melt. Just be very careful because coconut oil heats up quite quickly. All right, yeah, shut your microwave door. Beautiful. All right. The next thing you're going to do is pour that coconut oil into your bowl. So if you need help with that, if your If the bowl that your coconut oil is in is too hot, ask someone to help you. I've only just melted mine, so mine is okay. Great. And then as soon as you've done that, we can start mixing everything together. So we're looking for that beautiful almond butter to coat everything else, and it'll all become beautiful and chocolatey. And you're wanting to take your spoon all the way up the sides and go right down to the bottom. And then give your bowl a little stir. Because the almond butter sticks to the bottom. Oh, look at this. Beautiful. I'm going to have a little taste. Yum. All right, is yours all done, Soph? Fantastic. All right, so if you're going to use muffin tins, like I've got a metal one, so I'm going to do a really light spray using my oil. So you could just use paper, little paper patties if you wanted to. So I'm just giving it a really light spray. Now, if you're using a silicone mold, you won't need to spray with the oil. All right, now, operation mold. I'm actually going to get I'm going to get a teaspoon and a dessert spoon. Teaspoon and a dessert spoon. All right. So all you'll need to do is spoon your mixture into your containers, like into the little holes. So I just got a spoonful and then pushed with the other spoon off into the little muffin hole. So I'm actually going to use this one because I think this is cuter. Although the nuts pop out. So I'm going to pop it into the oven. I'm going to pop it into my freezer. If you're going to leave it in your freezer for a long time, I suggest that you cover it with some cling wrap so that it doesn't pick up the flavour of or the smell of the freezer. So sometimes the freezer gets a funny little smell. But if you're only going to pop it in there for like half an hour or an hour, you probably don't need to do that. only if you're going to have it in there a long time.